Good day, everyone. I am Matt Harrison, and you are listening to the Geary Cast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Gearys out there. It was another draw for Malaga this past match day, with Real Oviedo, the latest team, to share the points with our boys. A 0-0 draw may not sound like a thriller minute, but the game had plenty of moments of note. Although sadly, the post-match headlines were grabbed by Antonito's saved penalty with virtually the last kick of the game. Whereas our newest hero missed at the end, the rest of the game had been weaved with salutes and love to a returning hero in the form of midfield maestro Santi Carzola, playing for Oviedo, of course. And speaking of returning maestros, let me introduce my Geary Cast co-host, returning for the first time since all the way back to last week. It's Nick Bell.
Afternoon, mate. You're right. Evening, morning, whatever time you might be listening to.
This is why I go with good day. You're always quite safe with good day, I suppose. But yes, all good here. You're off to Disneyland this week?
I'm off to Paris, yeah, and it's a wink for the former. She doesn't know yet.
Oh, sorry. Just in case she's listening. Hope she. It's just I was just trying to get in. I was thinking, how can I connect this to Mickey Mouse football or something like that? But I haven't quite had time to try to process that joke. But anyway, let's talk about Mickey Mouse football clubs. And no, Malaga are not a Mickey Mouse football club anymore. We're fun these days. We're good. But tell you what is a bit Mickey Mouse is the Ricardo Horta court case and what's been going on with that. I think pretty much since we started this podcast a lot of years ago now. I was going to say about 2 years ago, but it's much longer than that. When we started it, I think this case was already underway. It's still going, but it looks like it might be at an end, Nick.
Yeah, I think this is maybe the light is at the end of the tunnel, as you're alluding to, Matt. It's gone all the way from league disputes to international disputes to the Casa. It's gone right to the top, and we finally have an outcome. I don't think it's the outcome that we really wanted, to be fair, because I think it's fair to say that Horta's influence has maybe waned in the last couple of seasons. A few years ago, he was sort of at the height of his game, attracting interest from not just Benfica in Portugal, but also teams from abroad. And they were talking about 20 million for him. Do you know what I mean? Like big money. So long story short, Malaga wanted, I think, about 12 million euro. They've come out with 3.1. Now, that's less than it's been reported, but of the 6 million that they valued him of, a couple of agents are taking a hefty cut from that one as well. So, but 3.1 million not to be shaken at, but I suppose it's only twice as much as what we got for Alex Calvo. So, yeah, is it really the same?
No, it's and I think I'm right in saying as well. It does get like paid in some installments, I think I read. So it's not like we get a big slap of money put in our bank account. And yeah, I did notice, and I meant to check this. I'm assuming no relation, but obviously it's George Mendes is one of the agents, but apparently one of the other ones is called Juan Mata Senior. I don't think it's a relation, because Juan Mata is like good and noble and man of the people. I can't imagine his dad being an agent. So
no.
But yeah, it's been going on for years there. It's not like, I don't think it's signed, sealed, delivered yet, but it pretty much is, I think. From what I gather, like I've said before, I get a bit lost in all the business chat and I get a bit bored easy. But I think it was when it went to Casa, that seemed to be the one which really shot us down and meant that we weren't getting the big bucks which we were hoping for. But at least like I don't have to put in the agenda. Hopefully only one or two more times, maybe, or the case update. We can just, it's done. I'm happy to lose Malaga to lose some money just to get it off our agenda. And again, there's not loads of other news. I guess we'll talk about, we've got, actually, I was going to ask this, because the next thing I've got written down is the announcement of the Racing Santander game, which I'll say now is on a Saturday night, 9 p.m, 23rd of November. Is it me, or are they actually getting a bit like, I don't know, they're forward planning a little bit more. I'm sure, 23rd of November seems very far away for La Liga planners.
Yeah, for La Liga standards, it's quite well ahead of its game. What, a month from today, basically, give or take a couple of days. So yeah, it's massively ahead of the curve, and to think we could be getting December fixtures in the very near future. So yeah, it's a good one. I think, like you say, it's another Saturday game. I know we've had a bit of a lull in those up until this weekend, but we seem to be majority Saturday games this season so far. So I think a lot of people are very happy about that. Doesn't bode well for the Almeria home game, the home game after, which is what I'm pinning my hopes on. But I suppose that I can only think good thoughts.
Yeah, that game actually is that's when there's Puente holiday here, so I'll have Friday and Monday off work. So it would be very annoying if they put that game on a Monday now. But yeah, I could see that happening. And also I have a friend visiting then, so it would be really helpful if it was on Saturday or Sunday. Even Friday would be fine for me with that one. But yeah, Racing, that's the next one. That's going to be a tricky one when that one comes around in a few weeks. And of course, the return of Jose Alberto Lopez. Be interesting to see what sort of reception he gets, if anything. I don't think we need to have any beef with him. It's sort of, yeah.
It is what it is. I think, yeah, no, they're flying at the minute as well, aren't they? So, it's nice to see him doing well, to be fair. I think we've all sort of unanimously agreed that maybe the trigger was pulled just a little bit too soon on him at the time. But, our loss is, seemingly very much Racing Santander's game. Yeah,
they'd be quite a fun club to get promoted back to the top league just because they haven't been there in so long. And obviously they can be a good example for us as a team that's been down in the well in recent years and has sort of found a magic formula, because of course, they were the team which stayed up to pretty much get us relegated, really, weren't they? It's Jose Alberto Lopez very much saved them and has built from there.
Yeah,
one other little
Rocco Battorina bullet first and then passed him on to us, so we're trialing him now. So if Prodigy is supposed to be admitted, we might be in their position next season, maybe.
Fingers crossed. Just one other little bit of fixture news, and I only just saw this before we press record. So the Atletico Malagueño are playing at Marbella's stadium next weekend. I say Marbella Stadium. Marbella's adopted ground stadium seems a bit grand for La Dama del Noche, but I was like, oh, cool, I'll go and watch them when they're in Marbella. But they're playing on Sunday afternoon before Malaga play in Malaga, so I was a bit gutted about that. Apparently, they're changing the grass at the newly opened Sport City. So yeah, if for some reason you can't make it to Malaga on Sunday, but you are in Marbella, you can get a Malaga fix there. And we should say as well, they actually drew for a change this weekend. Atletico Malagueño, they drew 2-2. They scored. They conceded in the last minute against Atletico Porcuna. I think that's how you say it. So their mad run of just obliterating teams has come to an end. Yeah. And then, it's just one other final bit of news. And I just sort of sprung this on you just before we press record as well. There's going to be an opportunity for 2 fans to sleep in La Rosaleda in the coming weeks. Yeah, I've not written the dates down, but I think it's the 1st and 2nd of November, or it might be the 2nd and 3rd of November. But thanks to a sponsorship deal with Zocco Homes, which I believe are like a Costa del Sol, furniture, housing company. They're calling it A Dream in La Rosaleda is the name of the sort of the promo they're doing. But basically, you enter into a draw, and the person that pulls out can go with a guest. They get a exclusive tour of La Rosaleda. They get taken for dinner in La Rosaleda, and then apparently one of the VIP boxes is going to be turned into like a nice cozy home, I'm guessing, with much of the furniture being from Zocco Homes. So I got quite excited because obviously I saw Zocco and thought of Pacharan, and I thought, oh, Have they branched out? But no, they seem to be a different thing. Would you and the wife, you think, enjoy a night sleeping in La Rosaleda, Nick?
I think if you put us both together in that one, I don't think so. I don't think it's up on Bex's agenda that high. I know certain Mr. Luke Chambers will definitely be
Oh my God,
applying for that without a shadow of a doubt. You know, when you get your family members to enter in on your behalf as well, just to increase your chances, I think he'd give his left arm to do that. And I think a lot of Malaga fans would as well. It's obviously a bit quirky, it's a bit different. Hotels and rooms aren't that unusual in football stadia anymore, but obviously La Rosaleda doesn't have that facility, which surprises me actually. I suppose the new one will, but
the new one will definitely.
Yeah, it's something a bit different, something a bit engaging from the sponsors, and
Shall I brave it? Shall I put my name in the draw and maybe take Chris Marquez and see how that turns out?
I think that would have its own stories coming after it like that. Sorry, sir, you can't bring those in here.
That would be one of the greatest episodes of Vamos a la Rosaleda ever, I think. Me.
What's that vibrating noise?
Yeah. No, actually, to be honest, why haven't I? I can take someone along. That'd be quite a fun little. Do you want to come? What a line! Do you want to come sleep in La Rosaleda with me? What a line! Anyway, so if you are interested in that, I think the draw is open now, and obviously, I think it's happening in a few days' time. The actual sleepover. So, enter that. Bring your pajamas, popcorn, and rom-coms, or I don't know. Is that what people do with sleepovers these days? I don't know. So that's not what we, and have a pillow fight and talk about your crush.
You have a very warped sense of what happens in what sleepover did you go to, Matt?
I don't know. This is sort of. I think this is more like American sort of rom-com sort of sleepover.
Yeah, it sounds like every American teenage girl sleepover you've seen on television.
Yeah. I in South Wales, we didn't really have sleepovers like that, so I don't know. I thought I was just trying to fit in with people, but apparently, my sleepover vision is warped too. Let's move away from sleepovers. Let's get to hangovers and talk about what happened on the weekend during this 0-0 draw with Real Oviedo. I don't know. It might feel like a hangover the way it ended. We might say it was a good point. We'll work our way up to that, but we'll start at the beginning first, Nick. And as always, talk about the starting 11. Again, quite a few changes here. So again, I'll just read some of the headlines. Danny Lorenzo was back in starting. Obviously, Antonito and Aaron had just come back from under-19 international duty and started on the bench. We can talk about whether that was the right call or not. Carlos Burga came back in for Joaquin after we sort of slated Joaquin last week. And the one I want to ask about, and I don't know if I missed this, it was only really after the game I thought about this, but Nelson Monte was on the bench. Was he dropped or rested? Do we know?
I don't think there was anything official that came out about it, but you'd be safe to assume where Payser is concerned that he's just been rotated out. You know, he's played a lot of football recently. I think, dare I say, he's played every game so far this season, maybe minus one or two. But this is just obviously what Payser did, especially a lot last season, especially with Einar and Monte. He swapped them in and out for different partners just to keep things fresh. And I don't really buy into that, especially at this level, and especially when Monte's been performing so well. I'd rather him be consistent, but it was a good chance to see how Einar and Pastor play together as well, to be fair.
Yeah, to be fair, I know I've been sort of praising Alex Pastor perhaps more than you guys on here, but I think all three have been pretty good this year, actually. So I didn't have any big qualms with Monte not starting. I do think Monte is the best of the three, but I was just a bit surprised. But yeah, that makes sense. I guess we've rotated plenty of other players around, and he's probably due a rotation. What about the two youngsters? Obviously, we've talked about, we've had to rely on them quite a lot this season. Obviously, they played quite a lot actually during those under-19 friendlies and different tournaments they were playing in. Do you think it was right that Antonito and Aaron Ochoa Maloney, apologies for only calling him Aaron earlier, I did notice, think it was right them starting on the bench?
No, I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think it's more pragmatism from Pace for me on that one. I think when you've got players that are hot in form, and you can say, yeah, they've been away on international duty, so they might be a bit tired, but these are teenage lads at the end of the day. You know, if they're getting knackered at this age, God, imagine if they reach our age, Matt, what they're going to feel like. But I just think, you know, in games like this, where, you know, you've not won in 4 games and you're looking for a reaction and a result in your home stadium, you need your ace card. And whether we like it or not, our 2 ace cards this season are our 2 teenage lads who are just performing admirably. And I'd rather have them in from the start than putting them in against a very, you know, blunt Oviedo side where they can't really do much to affect the game with, you know, 20, 25 minutes to go. So I would have rather have seen, especially Antonito, start for me.
Yeah, I wasn't so like, I do agree with you. They've been our 2 sort of most lethal players this season, or certainly the ones that have made things happen further up the pitch. But I wasn't so bothered because I felt I wanted to have a bit of a look at Danny Lorenzo again, because he hasn't started many games this season. And I was just sort of thought, okay, well, we don't, you know, he's a very good player. And I wanted to see how he would play starting, and perhaps we can talk about how he did later. But yeah, I wasn't so bothered. But I thought, obviously I wanted Kevin to start, but I thought David Larrubia has been quite good. So I was okay with it. I wasn't absolutely clamoring to see these 2 start. I think maybe the next game I might change that opinion a bit before the game. But yeah, I thought I was quite happy with it. I think, I'm guessing the way we spoke about Joaquin last week, we weren't too bothered about him being switched for Carlos Burga again. And I don't think there's any other. I guess the only other perhaps headline I didn't mention is that Izan Moreno kept his place, which is good.
Yeah, it was good to see as well for him, to be fair. And, you know, he's grown in confidence and, you know, performing admirably. The Puga Joaquin part for me, I think that's completely interchangeable. I don't see one of them being miles better than the other ones. So it's neither love nor hate on that front. The thing that I'm getting a bit concerned about Danny Lorenzo this season, in terms of his overall performance, but also the way he looks like he's playing, especially after January this year. He looked unstoppable, and he's coming to the team, you know, into this season, and he just looks a shadow of himself at the minute. He's not doing the things we expected Danny Lorenzo to do. And I'm not saying he's playing badly. He's not playing to his strengths, and that is someone who gets his head down and starts to run at people and plays off the striker. He looked flat to me a lot this season, and it kind of showed in this match, if I'm being perfectly honest.
To be honest with you, I'm going to disagree with you there. I think he's actually playing quite badly. I don't think he's doing very much. And there's he's a very talented 17-year-old, but he's been kept out of the team by a 17-year-old kid. And yeah, like I don't know. I don't think he's really done anything. I can't tell you one sort of. I feel like maybe he was in for Ferrol. He came on. There was some way he came on. It was quite good, I feel. But yeah, he's such a good footballer and yeah, like I like it when he's direct, like you said, and he's like, obviously his style is very different to Aaron Ochoa Maloney as well. So it's good, to have those 2 vie in for that, I guess, sort of attacking midfield role. And yeah, he definitely needs a bit of a wake up call.
But we said the same thing about Larrubia last season, didn't we? We were not very impressed with the way Larrubia played, and now this season we're actually starting to see the player that he can be. And I suppose this is the problem that Pace has got, and it's a nice problem to have, but I can't necessarily say, who should go where, because they're stronger in that position and that. It's such a fluid sort of 3 in front of those defensive midfielders that it's kind of like it's so interchangeable that it could probably actually cause you more headaches than it's actually worth. We can vie for consistency, but I don't think we can ever get it.
Yeah.
The only way I think we could is if we suggested maybe Antonito goes up top, and that's how we fit in a Kevin, a Aaron Chomoloni, and a La Rubia. But outside of that, we're struggling. After we've also got Lebete to come back in. You know what I mean? So,
well, you could even argue that, obviously our defense is pretty much, we know who's going to play in our defense, even though the centre back switch along. Then you've got Manu Molina, who I think is pretty much, he's penciled in that midfield all the time now. But beyond that, it's hard to pick who is the sort of first choice, and who's the most in form. It's still, like you said, it's quite fluid, especially in a good way as well, because we've got players that can play like a variety of sort of midfield positions, I guess. Even I can't even remember, did we mention it on the pod last week, or did it come up later, the crazy stats about Manu Molina and how much he runs in the game, which I think I put in our WhatsApp group. I've never seen Manu Molina as a lazy player at all. I think he's great, but I was really surprised how much running he gets through. And I did sort of, during this game, tried to keep a bit of an eye on him a little bit to see, have I missed this all along? And yeah, he does do a lot of running. It turns out. Yeah.
And we've still got the old adage of Ramon could return anytime soon as well. So it's, like I say, plenty of problems to have, but it's getting it to work in our favour. And I think at the minute, unfortunately, it's not quite coming off in the same fashion that we've had in the earlier rounds. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, this is all trivial stuff. Let's talk about the important stuff now, Nick. The Oviedo shirt. You like your football shirts. What were your thoughts on this Oviedo? I don't know if it's their away shirt or their third shirt, because I've seen another shirt of theirs, which I have opinions on too. What did you think of this green and sort of browny maroon number?
I quite liked it. I don't know what the colour scheme is. I want to say maybe it's something to do with the City's colours, maybe similar to like what Malaga do when they bring out the green and purple. But just that with a gold accent, it wasn't the prettiest kit, but I actually, for an Adidas template, I was quite impressed. Actually, I was thinking,
the template,
maybe Santi Carzola looks good in anything.
Yeah, that's true. The to be honest with you, their other shirt I don't like either. They've got like this, it's like white in the middle with like orange sleeves with like blue trim. I don't know, again, you've just made a good point there. Maybe it is City colours, so maybe I'm gonna say something really stupid here, but they just didn't feel very Oviedo-ish to me. I don't know why, but maybe it's the opposite and is very Oviedo-ish.
I think that's the thing where it comes to Oviedo, is that they have, such an iconic color scheme, which we say iconic. It's a very simple color scheme, which is your blue shirt, your white shorts, and your blue socks. But it embodies them so much. They wear it so well that you can't really think about them wearing anything else. But it was unusual. But I wasn't against it. It wasn't the worst home shirt I've seen, away shirt. Sorry, I've seen at La Rosaleda. Let's put it that way. That goes to Alfredo still.
I've just noticed one of my notes I made on the shirt, and I think this summed up. I forgot about this bit. I've just written, looks a bit too rugby-ish for me.
Yeah, it feels like a Harlequin shirt or something like that.
It looks a bit too much like a rugby shirt. But I was just thinking, actually, obviously I'm wearing the gold shirt here, which has got like a sort of tribute to the Alcazaba, and obviously we've gone quite heavy on the Picasso stuff this year. Maybe I want Real Oviedo to do a Woody Allen shirt, maybe, because I was talking to Paul Hennahan when we were walking to the ground, and he was unaware of the Woody Allen Real Oviedo. Well, not Oviedo as a city love. If you, for those that don't know, if you go to Oviedo, there is a statue of Woody Allen there because Oviedo is his favorite city in the world, if I remember rightly. And I think he still has a place there. Yeah, I want to see a Woody Allen themed shirt. I don't know what it looked like, but it'll be interesting. Anyway, let's get back onto the pitch. I don't really know what to say here, Nick. I've just written Malaga's first half performance ? And I've just put fine, not great, Oviedo probably better. And I think that's about it for me.
Yeah, I'd have to echo exactly what you said there, Matt, to be fair. I think weathered is probably not the word I would use, because we weren't being battered.
No.
But I think we were just sort of like letting Oviedo keep the ball a bit, and they did do so quite well. I think when you've got somebody who can control the tempo of the game like Santi Carzola in your team, then it's bound to be that way. And I think we just kind of handled it well. I went, yeah, cool, all right, yeah, you have the ball for a bit, then you pass it around quite nicely. That's fine.
Yeah,
but then again, you've got to counter that, haven't you? When you allow a team to play like that in front of you, you've got to be able to have the nous to counter and attack. And again, we were just flat on that part for me. It was quite a boring first half, to say it quite nicely. Not much went on.
Yeah, I guess, and like obviously to counter, we're relying on our wingers like Kevin and Larrubia, and even our fullbacks. And I thought Larrubia was really good actually, and I just thought Kevin was working his socks off again, but it just wasn't quite. Nothing was quite falling for him in this game. Yeah, like I didn't think he played bad. It's just I sort of summed it up really. Yeah, I guess there is only one really fun thing to talk about in that first half, and you've obviously mentioned him already. Is Santi Carzola. It was great to see him get such a great ovation. I think it was about 10 minutes in, and he took a corner, and yeah, the stadium went mad. And he was a bit sheepish about it, but it was just I think as the game went on, it happened more and more, and eventually he got his chance and stuff. And yeah, it was really nice. It's nice seeing things like that. And also just, I think I put in our WhatsApp that I actually think we sort of contained him quite well. And like you just said, we did let him have the ball a bit, but that's not to say that, he was still very, very good as well. And I think perhaps his qualities almost shone when he was off the pitch, when he got subbed towards the end. So what did you make of Santi Carzola's return?
I thought it was really cool to see, and it was sort of echoed in some corners that this isn't actually going to be as big a deal as some people in the media and certainly some people that we know we're making out in terms of the hype around it. But I think there's a lot that Malaga fans need to hold on to as of late. We've been in a very bad spot, and you have those very recent memories of success. And Santi Carzola was a part of that era. It was when it was massive to be a Malaga fan, when when they were playing with players like him. And I think I brought it up in our WhatsApp group. And you know what? There's probably a lot to thank Santi Carzola for as well in terms of having a club now. I think the money that we got for him when Arsenal came in and paid something like, was it 30 odd million for him at the time, probably kept the club in business for the next few years until the next signing came away. So he was only here for I think a season, maybe season and a half. Yeah, but he made such an impact, and players will do that. Players will do that and earn your respect in an instant. And he's gone on and had a great career elsewhere, doing what he needs to do, and will always be revered as one of the best Spanish footballers that there's ever been, but certainly a very good technical footballer. And it's great to welcome them back.
Yeah, like I think I said last week, I think in regards of like first touch and close control, I don't think I think he's comparable to Iniesta. Just Iniesta had a bit more dynamism to his game and was a little bit, could burst forward a bit more, and that wasn't really Santi's game. So I'm not comparing him to Iniesta is a bit cruel, as if like, oh, he's not Iniesta. But like he was.
But you look at that level of Spanish footballer, and they really, we were kind of coming out of an era of after the Dutch in the late 80s, early 90s, and then we went through to the Brazilians of the early noughties, and everything was about flamboyance and flair. Players like Santi Carzola, Isco, Iniesta, David Silva, you name them, Cesc Fabregas, they made this little niche role as a tricky Spanish centre midfielder with really nice technical feet. And now you look at the likes of dare I say Phil Foden coming through, Jude Bellingham's in the England squad. I'm sure there's ones we can name in the Scotland and Welsh teams as well. Cole Palmer, that probably owe a lot to their current careers, watching and growing up on seeing what players like Santi Carzola did. So there'll be players in that Malaga dressing room. We saw the picture with Kevin with his arm around him, thinking, fucking hell, I'm playing with Santi Carzola. This is mint.
Well, I don't know if the biggest one, the biggest sort of cheesy smile I saw was actually with Sergio Pellicer had his arm around him. I don't know if you saw the story that Sergio Pellicer once played against him. Did you see that? Yeah, he played. I can't remember. It's like I'm going to say like Tercera, so it might have been 5th or 6th division. So at the end of Pellicer's career, he's playing for a team. I think they're called Onda. So either Onda or Orda. And Santi was playing for Villarreal B, and Pellicer said, "Oh, like he said he couldn't get near him."
Yes, I can imagine that. I can imagine. It's like the pictures we're seeing of Arne Slot and Van Dijk playing against each other at the start of Virgil's career. It's just, I love it when you see those pictures together nowadays.
Now, my favourite one of those is there's a famous goal for Swat. Well, Lee Trundle is, legend of scoring these like great goals. And there's one where he skills this centre back, and the centre back is nowhere near him, and then he bangs one in, and there's this tall, skinny, ginger-haired centre back like moppy hair, and it's Graham Potter. It's quite a funny one. Anyway, there's it's probably more fun talking about Santi Carzola here, but we should probably move on. Really nice to see, and he appreciated it as well. Definitely, he spoke very glowingly before the game. He seemed to enjoy it during the game, and he spoke well after the game about his experience at La Rosaleda. I guess we just move on because obviously it was 0-0 half time. Pellicer made a couple of subs at half time. Obviously, Carlos Burga got subbed off. I'm assuming because he was on the yellow card, which the classic Pellicer system of get him off. So Joaquin came on then, and also I think Aaron came on at halftime for Danny Lorenzo. I think we've already touched about that. Danny Lorenzo looked a bit, well, just not really there, Nick.
Yeah, like we said before, it's becoming a concern. He just doesn't seem himself, and I don't know if it's because, like you alluded to, we're seeing more of a dynamic performance from Aaron Maloney compared to what Danny Lorenzo can do. But the disconnect between the midfield and the striker when he was in there was, it was very apparent. Whereas when Aaron Maloney came on, you could see there was more, transitional play through that final third. So I can't put my finger on what Danny needs to do. Maybe an arm around him just to tell him just to maybe focus on what he needs to do, or whether, dare I say, this level's just maybe a little bit too high for him. He's tried before. He's not performed, wonderfully, apart from when he first came into the team. Dare I say?
Well, I don't know if you remember, like when he did come into the team during the relegation season, he was playing really well, and then we sent him out on loan to Merida, and I was a bit surprised then. But
that's it. And you expect a player to come out of that and step up. And the thing is, you can put your finger on it and say, there's been lots of players who've stepped up to this level. Frankly, we're still playing with a Primera side with some new talent littered in, but who are not really massively proven at this level. So I think he can get there. I hope he can get there, but it wouldn't surprise me to see him play less and less, and especially as Ramon comes back, especially as Aaron Maloney matures and develops even further. I think his play time will be limited this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Maloney in the second half. I thought he was really good. Actually, I thought he looked like not that he created loads and loads. Like you said, though, he just seemed to get on the ball a bit. He was a little bit like what Santi Carzola was doing for them. Dare I say, not to throw that big comparison his way already, but again, I don't know if you've got anything different here, but I've got second half performance pretty much the same. Apart from, I do think when Santi Carzola came off, they didn't have as much of the ball, because I think the possession stats show that we had slightly more possession than them. And I think that must have come in the second half, that switch over, because they certainly felt like they had more of the ball to me. And I guess the only other thing I've got in my notes here is still we were playing fine, but this time Alfonso Herrera was doing his heroics again.
Yeah, I think the point from when Santi Carzola goes off, and again, it's obviously great to see the way he plays, but it becomes this old age adage of, do you suit the style around the player or do you build the team around the style? And you could see certainly when Santi Carzola went off that Real Oviedo went a lot more direct, and that's how they ended up having those, couple of chances through on goal where, Herrera once again has dug us out of the shit a fair bit. So, I think as good as the play was with Santi Carzola, and it was great to see, I think it helped them with him going off, if that makes sense. I think they changed their tactics around, and I don't think we struggled to cope with it, but we just had to get up to speed quite quickly. And Herrera, again, that one-on-one where he's just come out and made himself big and blocked it out with his leg. He's pulling one of those out a week at the minute, and we can complain about the amount of draws we've got and that we're not winning games, but we could have lost 3 of the last 5 if it wasn't for Herrera at the minute.
Yeah, that one, like you said, the way really stretched out is the left foot or whatever when he's going the other way, saving was brilliant. And obviously there's another save with quite a good save of his feet as well. He's just good at every type of save, isn't he? Generally, I don't know. I was going to say, I haven't really considered this until I can't remember what made me think about it the other day, but there must be people watching him. There must be a club out there that will need a goalie next year, and they I just surprised we've not heard anything about any links, and he's very publicly said he wants to stay here, and a lot of players say that. He's such a revered so much now. I believe him because he just seems too godlike to lie to us. But
yeah,
I'm just sort of surprised that there isn't more stories around him because he's still quite young for a goalie. He's our captain. There's the stat that's come out today that I think David Picon tweeted that he's got the most saves in Segunda. I don't know. I don't want to tempt people and say come and buy him, but yeah,
he'll be on the target sheets of some people. It's what the value is to sell him. I think he's still got 2 years left on his deal, and whether we like it or not, at this level in Spain, I think it's only the preserve of the big boys you go spend big on a goalkeeper. Like you can't really put your money on anyone outside of maybe Barcelona and Real Madrid spending massive amounts of money on a goalkeeper, even in the top level. They're usually either bought in through house or end up being free signings. So, I think for us, it's fortunate that people will be looking at them. They'll be waiting for them to come available for nothing. I think that's just the frank matter of it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's probably what is going on. But yes, please don't leave us. Anyway,
that will break our hearts.
Yeah, I don't really think there's not really too many other incidents until obviously the end. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything or if you want to bring anything up before we talk about the dramatic ending.
No, I don't think there was much to talk about. There's a lovely curl shot from Dione, which had their keeper Aaron parrying and pulling out a great save. And I thought that's a bit more like it, Dione. I was really impressed with Labete when he came on. I thought he was, really direct and looked like a lot of fun as well when he came on to replace La Rubia, who himself played well as well. So it was good to see that, we were replacing quality with quality. But yeah, it was, again, it was just sort of like a second half until, we win that said penalty, as you've already mentioned.
Yeah, and I've just got the stats up and it sort of sums up the game really. Both teams had 18 corners each. 18 crosses each. Both teams had 6 corners each. Both teams had about 500 touches each. Both teams made 23 tackles. We made a lot more interceptions. We had 16 aerial wins. They had 15. 25 clearances to 23. All the stats add up. Apart from they had quite a lot more shots than us, but which I guess tells us what sort of game it is. But the crucial moment, the big shot came at the end. We'll talk about the penalty first. sort of corner whipped in by Malaga and then was hit back across the box with, I think it was Einar, wasn't it? That sort of threw himself at it, like with a big diving header. I'll be honest with you, in the stadium, I can't say I really noticed much. I have watched it back since. So basically the penalty was for, he was being pulled, his shirt was being pulled as he went for this diving header. I'll be honest with you, I don't think he would have got there anyway. I've only seen it once or twice, but I do think it was a penalty, actually. There was clear obstructive shirt pulling.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned in one of the various groups that we're in that, we talked with Malaga fans whilst the game on and was there watching it as well. And, someone said, oh, that's not a penalty, or it's a bit soft to be a penalty. But the thing is, the referee's got one job there. He can see that Einar has an advantage, first and foremost. You can see that his shirt is being pulled, and you've got to give the benefit of the doubt that it's a goal scoring opportunity, regardless of how close his head is to touching that ball. This is Einar. He's good at scoring headers. He might have stretched his neck out by an extra 6 inches and met it. We don't know that. So I think, first of all, it's good that we managed to get the benefit of VAR once again for this penalty decision. I think that's becoming a good theme. And, I'm actually quite impressed with VAR this season, both for what they've decided for us and what they've decided against us. It's not been overly used either. No. So I think in this instance, maybe the red card was a bit too much in terms of it being the last kick of the game and he's conceded a penalty. But to the letter of the law, that's what you need to do. And, it was a right decision for me. I think ultimately it is a penalty.
I'll be honest with you, until about 5 minutes ago, I didn't even know there'd been a red card in the game. I was I had like the lineup up and it said a red card. And I was like, when did that happen? So it was only now I've been processing it. I did go, oh, it must have been for the penalty. So I was obviously it didn't make a difference, did it? Because it was pretty much going to be the last kick. Actually, like it seemed to be a big thing in the Premier League this weekend. Lots of sort of penalties to do with things in the box that you're like 50-50. So it seems to have been a dominant theme this weekend of my football viewing. But yeah, it looked, you could just tell from the way the players had reacted. The ref went over to watch it on the monitor. Antonito was waiting there with the ball like he did with the Albacete game. He looked confident. I don't know. I had a bad feeling, if I'm being honest. Nothing like not because I was like, oh no, of course Antonito's going to miss, because obviously his success rate's very high. It's 100%, 1 in 1. But yeah, what are our thoughts on him taking the penalty? The penalty itself, I don't know what to make of it, to be honest with you.
Shit pen. No two ways about it. If you are gonna rifle it with power that range, at least put it away from the goalkeeper is probably what I would say. He's not had to stretch himself out necessarily. He's just got his body in the way, basically. So again, aim away from the keeper if you're going to go for that kind of technique. A lot's being made about, who should be the penalty taker and, should a 17-year-old be our penalty taker? But ultimately, he's one of our top goal scorers. The other top goal scorer, Dione, isn't on the pitch at the time. I don't think. I think he was taken off for Castel.
Also, Dione's taken a penalty for us before and missed.
Exactly. So
he has scored one.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it doesn't really matter if he takes it or not. He's got the confidence to go and do it. As you said, he scored one already this season. So there'd be no arguments about, if he would score a second. These things happen. The keeper's made a save, and we've come away with a point, which is probably actually what the outcome should have been. It would have been a real smash and grab if we'd have scored that penalty.
Yeah, like I said, I sort of thought who are the alternatives to take penalties, and I can't see anyone really better than him. I don't think it really matters that he's 17. If anything, that he's sort of got this swagger about him at the moment, which I think is more important than your age when it comes to penalties. But yeah, it's just a shame he put it at that sort of very goalie friendly height. But tell you what, my other shout for penalty takers, I've seen Kevin bury a good penalty. He's got 1 in 1 for us, although that was the game, the infamous Alcoyano game when you all came over and we lost. But But yeah,
I would. It would be interesting to see. Like, I know PSA has come out and said, "Well, we share the responsibility. It's up to decision on the pick," because a lot of people said, "Oh, it's Manu Molina who's our official penalty taker," but I don't think we have one. But it'd be interesting to see who is the best penalty taker in this squad in terms of like a competition or what happens on the training ground, because I'm just trying to think. There must be someone who's a bit of a specialist at this.
I've got this funny thing, and I have no evidence to back this up, and I've never seen. I've got a feeling Einar can hit a penalty. I think it might be the black.
You've taken the word straight out of my mouth. That was going to be what I was going to say as well. Einar just seen it's the black boots.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And that fucking dead stare, and I just think he's got Pensman written all over him.
Yeah, like when I don't know if he ever took one in the end, but like because we didn't get a penalty, but David Lomban was always our designated penalty taker, and he was like the centre back. But I don't think he ever took one. He took some out free kicks, but anyway, that's something to speculate for future games. Do you think that you've said you think it is a fair result? Do you think this is a good result? And adding on to that, do we need to be worrying about all these draws yet?
I think I said it best the other day with this league is that you could put your rose tinted glasses on and you can look forward and go, oh, we're only 3 points off 6. Look at us, only 3 points off the playoffs on our first season back in Segunda. Pat on the back, well done us. Then you look over your shoulder, you go, oh shit, we're only 3 points clear of relegation places, and we could easily be caught and back in the mire. So I think it's good to be in the position we're in now because we've earned it there by merit. But I am getting concerned that we're falling into that old habit we had last season of being attritional and picking up too many draws and sort of flatline a little bit. And I just can't see where the change is going to come in, where we can turn some of those draws into wins. I don't feel like we've got a goal scorer at the minute who can do that for us unless we change something tactically and do something like go with 2 up front like we did in Cadiz, or play Antonito central or something like that. I just want pace there just to sense the urgency a little bit and go, right, we can kick on from here and we can win our next game and we can change things and we can progress. Or do we carry on doing what we're doing? Definition is what what is the word I'm looking for? Something is the definition of insanity, or repeating the same thing is the definition of insanity.
Yeah, there is something like that. I've forgotten it too, but
yeah, so something mad about that. But I just think something needs to change right now. 5 games without a win is, we were talking about we were 6 games unbeaten. Now it's 5 games without a win, and the story can change very quickly, especially as a Malaga fan. So Sergio needs to take that into consideration for me. He needs to think, what can I do in this next game against, a Tenerife side who were doing badly, still kind of do badly, but they've got another former manager who could come and cause us a banana skin. So, something needs to crack on for me.
Yeah, okay. Let's move into our Chumbo and Biznagas then. I think I've got an idea where these are going. So I'll say my Chumbo first. Sort of struggled with this a little bit at first, but I think I sort of had 2 names written down. And I had Carlos Buga written down because I didn't think he was great the first half, but I think the more I've thought about him, the way we've talked about him today, I think I'm going to have to go Danny Lorenzo. Unfortunately, to my fellow Marbei, but he wasn't great.
I'd have to agree with you. Unfortunately, I think in a player of his position and where he sits in the squad right now, getting hooked at halftime is never a good look. And I think, but he warranted it. He brought us nothing in that first 45 minutes, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then Biznaga, I'll just throw out my sort of honourable mentions. I thought David Larrubia was really good, particularly like defensively, actually, or certainly winning the ball back. I've not said his name, I don't think this time, but I really thought Alex Pastor was good again. I keep saying it. I really, really like him. But yeah, my really boring, my Biznaga is Alfonso Herrero because he's great.
It's no surprise. Mine will be the same. Alfonso Herrera, because you owe him the point on that one. I suppose we can go into honourable mentions, and I'd agree with David Larubia. I thought he had a good game. I was quite impressed with Moreno as well. I thought he didn't really put much of a foot wrong. And that partnership of Einar and Pastor I thought was quite strong as well. So again, gives Sergio another headache of, I've got these three really good centre-backs now. Which pair do I go for the next match?
We'll go three at the back, maybe. You said change something tactically. I don't think that's part of the pitch we really need to change. So there you go. Obviously, this week's a little bit of a funny week for us, and I suppose the next 2 weeks are, because obviously we play Tenerife Thursday night, and then next week we play on a Thursday again with the cup game against Estepona. It's going to be a bit messy this week. At the moment, we're not going to have a preview pod for Tenerife just because of just trying to fit in all these podcasts this week would be quite tough going. I guess we should just give a quick mention to as a little nod to a preview that Tenerife did lose 4-0 to Granada this weekend, and we've got to give a shout out to former Malaga manager Pepe Mel for his interest in a motivational speech after the game, where he was very polite. He didn't apologize to any women listening, but he said he's going to I don't really know how you translate it, but essentially stick my fingers up my players' asses to wake them up.
It's quite the Marquesism, isn't it? That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, but I don't know if you actually watch the interview of him speaking. He does it quite stony faced. It's not like it's not even like anger there, or him being like a bit of a chuckle at this sort of absurd image he uses. It's
each manager has got his own or her own motivational techniques. So maybe this is just a peek behind the curtain, and
dare I say a poke behind the curtain?
Poke behind the curtain, the Heladoro.
But yeah, so we don't know. We won't have a preview, and we're sort of trying to come up with a plan. We might have something out at the end of the week as a little sort of mini review of Tenerife and a preview for the Eibar game, but it's not confirmed yet because we're all over the place. So keep an eye on our socials and your podcast streams and things like that. And if something pops up, lucky you. Unless you play for Tenerife, where you don't want any.
Unless it's Pepe Mel with the of the glove and the pump of the lube.
Maybe we should have done a Tenerife preview after all. We could have had great fun with this, but it's probably best we don't talk about this any longer. So let's wrap up there. I will say thank you, Nick. Enjoy your trip to France.
Au revoir.
Au revoir, and thank you, or merci to you guys for listening. Go and follow us on your chosen podcast provider. Subscribe to our YouTube, share the podcast, tell a friend, give us 5 stars on whatever podcast provider you use. That's the one I'm going to keep trying to big up, because apparently that's the one that helps. So if you listen, please do that as a favor to us this week. And yeah, thank you for listening. We will see you soon. Adios, and as always, vamos Malaga.